Shall I start, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome all to the Madras Library Association's wonderful event on communication skills. Why is communication skill important in the 21st century? Of course, communication skill is necessary for all the centuries, and especially in this 21st century because we are all digitally connected each and every moment, and every moment matters in our life, and it is and our world is now a digital world, a global village, and all of you generally need good communication skill in English to achieve different levels of your dreams and reach your destiny. You may be a librarian, a professional, a student, or whatever, but the communication skill is inevitable to reach to your greater heights in your profession and occupation. So we have Mr. V. Minor, TOEFL qualified assistant professor of English of Dwarakdas Govardhanadas Vaishnava College of Chennai, among us to enlighten us about communication skills in English, which is very much essential. At the first, as the first agenda of this program, we welcome Dr. M. Muthumani sir to render the welcome address. Muthumani sir is organizing secretary and a library enthusiast, founder, VVAMU Pandian Memorial Bhagat Singh Padipagam, Madurai. Sir, please, sir.
Unmute பண்ணுங்க. சார் உங்க ஆடியோ வரல முத்துமணி சார்.
அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு பேசுங்க.
ஓகே இப்போ கேக்குதா சார்? சார் இப்போ கேக்குதா?
கேக்குது.
Yes sir, please continue sir. Yes sir.
கேக்குதா சார்?
கேக்குது, ப்ரொசீட் பண்ணுங்க.
ஓகே சார். எட்டு திக்கும் செல், எட்டாம் மொழியையும் பேசு, எல்லையற்ற உறவுகளையும் சேர், என்றும் ஏற்றம் காண்பாய். பல மொழிகளையும் கற்று பல்கலை வேந்தராய் வாழ அனைவரையும் வாழ்த்தி வரவேற்கிறேன். Good evening to all of you. I wish you all a very warm welcome this evening. எனது தந்தையின் நூலகமும் நூலக தந்தையின் சங்கமும் இணைந்து இன்று நடத்தும் குளோபல் கான்ஃபரன்ஸ், இதற்கு வருகை புரியும் அனைவரையும் வருக என வரவேற்கிறேன். எனது தந்தையின் நூலகத்தை கலைமாமணி, நடிகர், தகைசால் பேராசிரியர் கு ஞானசம்பந்தன் அவர்கள் திறந்து வைத்து கலைமகளின் ஆலயமான இந்நூலகத்தை திறந்து வைப்பதில் பெருமகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். தடவி பார்த்தால் காகிதம், படித்து பார்த்தால் ஆயுதம் என்று பதிவிட்டு நூலகத்தை திறந்து வைத்து மகிழ்ச்சி அடைய செய்தார். அவருக்கு இத்தருணத்தில் நன்றி கூறுகிறேன். மேலும் நமது நூலக தந்தை நிறுவிய மெட்ராஸ் லைப்ரரி அசோசியேஷன் 1928 தொடங்கிய காலத்திலிருந்து தற்போது நூலகர்களுக்கு கிரீடமாக விளங்குகிறது. அனைத்து நூலகர்களுக்கும் தகுதியை பொறுத்து விருதுகளை வாரி வழங்கி நூலகர்களுக்கு அவர்கள் பணிபுரியும் கல்லூரியிலும் பல்கலைக்கழகத்திலும் மிகச்சிறந்த முறையில் நூலகர்களுக்கு ஒரு அங்கீகாரத்தை வழங்குவது நமது மதராஸ் நூலக சங்கம் என்பதை பெருமகிழ்ச்சியுடன் கூறுகிறேன். அந்த நூலக சங்கத்திற்கு தலைவராக இருக்கும் நமது பேராசிரியர் டாக்டர் நித்யானந்தம் சார் அவர்கள் மிகச்சிறப்பாக இதனை செயல்படுத்தி வருகிறார். அவருக்கு உறுதுணையாக அனைத்து ஆபீஸ் பேரர்ஸும் உறுப்பினர்களும் இருந்து இச்சங்கத்தை மென்மேலும் சிறப்படைய செய்து வருகிறோம். Today, the global event, why this communication important in 21st century என்ற தலைப்பில் மிகச்சிறந்த முறையில் சிறப்பாக நமக்கு உரையாற்ற வருகை புரிந்த மைனர் சார் அவர்களையும் வருக என வரவேற்கிறேன். I would like to welcome Mr. Master Sai Prasanna, and I would like to welcome Dr. S. G. Rajashekhar sir, and I would like to thank each and everyone for their presence here at this global event conference. Participants அனைவரையும் வருக வருக என வரவேற்கிறேன். இத்தருணத்தில் நித்யானந்த சார் அவர்களை பேசுமாறு அழைக்கிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
Thank you, sir. I now request our leader, Madras Library Association President, Dr. Nityanandam sir, to present presidential address. Sir, please unmute yourself, sir.
Thanks, madam. Thanks,
Yes, sir.
madam,
Yes, sir.
for inviting me. I'll definitely have to thank our Dr. Muthumani. அவர் என்ன பண்ணாரு, அழகா தூய தமிழில் செந்தமிழில் வரவேற்புரை கொடுத்தார். நெஞ்சம் நெகிழ்ந்தது. உண்மையிலே அவருக்கு என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த பாராட்டுக்கள். நம் தாய் திருநாட்டில் தமிழில் பேசுவது மிகவும் அரிதாகி கொண்டிருக்கிற இக்காலகட்டத்தில் தமிழில் பேசுவதை கேட்கும் பொழுது மனதுக்கு தெம்பாக இருக்கிறது, மகிழ்ச்சி. எந்த ஒரு புது விஷயத்தையும் நம் தாய்மொழியில் கற்றால் சிறப்பாக எளிதாக கற்றுக்கொள்ளலாம். பிறகு நாம் மற்ற மொழிகளில் அதை கற்றுக்கொள்ளலாம். இது என்னுடைய கோட்பாடு, என்னுடைய நம்பிக்கை. அந்த வகையில் இன்னைக்கு எடுத்துக்கொண்ட தலைப்பு கம்யூனிகேஷன் ஸ்கில். அருமையான தலைப்பு. இது நம்முடைய வாழ்க்கைக்கும் நம்ம வாழும் இடத்துக்கும் நாம் பணிபுரிகிற இடத்திற்கும் தேவையானது இந்த கம்யூனிகேஷன் ஸ்கில். எஸ், அப்படிப்பட்ட இந்த தொடர்புடையது. வாட் இஸ் கம்யூனிகேஷன்? தட் இஸ், ஐ கேன் சே, communication is a vehicle to communicate our thoughts. Any language or any, for that matter, if you say, it is a vehicle to communicate our thoughts with each other. Yeah, and we should make it understand to others whatever we think, and we have to make others understand. That is called communication. Yeah, and it should be clear and a easy, simple way. See, there are many skills required for working library professionals. I can go on say listening skill, speaking skill, writing skill, and drawing skill, etc., etc. There are many skills. Public relation skills, human relation skills. There are many skills. Among that, this communication skill plays a vital role because it communicates our thoughts to other people in no time. So it is the duty of each and every working library professionals to learn this English language through which we can communicate to other state people. For example, I was working in a Pondicherry Regional Engineering College where I used to meet, say, different states people, say Hindi speaking, Marathi speaking, and as well as Rajasthan and Telugu, whatnot, Kerala, Malayalam, like that. Among all that, this is a common language, like we can express and make the listener to understand. Yes. So that's why communication skill is very important, apart from our own mother tongue, Tamil. Yes. And there is nothing wrong in learning many languages, even like Hindi or anything. If you have more language skills, you have more powers. Yes. And you can not only travel within Tamil Nadu, but also other states of India. So that facilitates this English language. So in that aspect, I do not want to stay on the way of our resource person. So I leave the platform to him. I welcome him. And first of all, on behalf of Madras Library Association, I thank him. He has come all the way from his place and he has accepted our offer, and he is very generous to give these useful talks. Really, in this juncture, I would like to mention this Tamil Nadu Library Association.com. They are, I think this is the 97th program, 97th week. They conduct programs through online on various important, valuable topics. We have to welcome this. And it is each and everybody should know the general things. It is not sufficient if you are very strong and if you are very expert in your own subject, but you should know the language skill. Only when you have language skill, you can communicate to others, and thereby you can come closer to others. So that's in that way. I hope our resource person will elaborate and tell the importance of this communication skill for LIS professionals in order to have the best practices in our library profession. Sir, thank you very much. And once again, I want to thank you, all the participants on the dais, and as well as the listeners, LIS professionals, everybody. I wholeheartedly thank them for sparing their valuable time for listening this useful seminar, that is webinar. Thank you one and all. Yes, now the compiler can proceed. Dr. Anuradha madam, next.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. I
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. That's an inspiration speak, sir. I now
yes, madam.
request Master Sai Prasanna to kindly introduce the chief guest. Master Sai Prasanna.
I'm so much privileged to accept the offer of delivering the introductory address of the resource person. As the quote suggests, the art of communication is the art of leadership. Every person speaks different languages, but what connects us is our human nature. So, language is a connectivity between humans. As Dr. Nityanandam sir suggested, there is a global language. There are many global languages. Among those all English is one of connect. So some famous speakers like we find difficulty to connect ourselves to switch between our own mother tongue and English. So hope this session will bring the clarity how to switch seamlessly between languages and how to communicate with others effectively. So now coming on to the introduction of the resource person, Mr. V. Maynard, working as the assistant professor of English in Dwaraka Das Govardhan Das Vaishnav College, Arumbakam. He has a working experience of over 9 years, and he has completed test teaching English as the secondary language, and he has also qualified TOEFL. So he has also published many publications in reputed journals, and he has participated in over 16 conferences, and he has presented paper in many of those. So I welcome the resource person and I give out the stage to you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Sai
Mr.
Prasanna.
Sai Prasanna.
The session is over to you, sir. Welcome, sir. Minus, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
The session is over to
Thank you
you.
so much,
Thank you,
ma'am.
sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Sai Prasanna. Respected President,
Sir,
Secretary, Organizing
about resource
Secretary.
persons,
Yes,
about resource persons profile, please
yes.
brief to all the participants, madam. Anuradha, madam.
Sir,
Anu-
just now Sai Prasanna has presented, sir.
everything.
Yes, sir.
He
Yeah,
has covered
everything
all
Yes, sir. Yes,
he has covered everything, sir.
profile of the resource person completed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He has completed, sir.
Sorry, I didn't listen. It seems. Anyway, thank you, sir. Please,
It
I
was a
pass
brief,
it on.
short and sweet note, sir.
Okay. Well done. Well done, Prasanna. Once
Please,
again, I want to appreciate our Muthumani for arranging such webinar in this period. Really, it is one more feather into the plume. Thank you, Mr. Muthumani.
okay, sir.
Please proceed,
Sir,
sir.
please
Please
you
proceed.
can proceed, sir. Please.
okay. Thank you so much, and thank you, Nitya sir, for taking time to organize such event, and respected secretaries, president, and VVAMU Pandian Memorial Bhagat Singh Padepaga Madurai, and Madras Library Association members and participants, And thank you so much. And I'd like to start thanking first with Sai Prasanna because for coming out and taking part in this event and giving introduction about me. Was really nice because as the topic suggested, communication skills, why is it important in 21st century? He has done a very good job of making it very short and simple, which we are going to discuss soon. Let me share the screen. Sir, is it visible? Sir, is it visible to you? Okay. Again, respected members of the VVMU Pandian the Memorial Bhagat Singh Padipaka Madurai and Madras Library Association, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to explain or share some of the informations I know about what is called communication skills. As topic suggests, it is very important to know why do we need to have a good communication skills, especially in 21st century. As most of them are library professionals, I've been to different library in Chennai because my post-graduation days were spent in American Library, Devanagam Library, and British Library. I was very close with these places, and half of my time was spent in those libraries. And based on the information I collected from the people, okay, and when I was given an opportunity to give lecture on the topic called why is communication important, especially communication skill important in 21st century, I was fascinated. And before that, I like to thank each and every members who's been part of this event. Why? Because having an event and organizing an event for the people who are part of this profession called library, and being a librarian, you have a plenty of role to play because you are setting the nation to grow in a proper way. If you ask me what is the importance of librarian in a college or in a place called like Chennai, they are the one who makes the people to know or understand the value of what is called reading books. I remember if you ever been to Devanagam library, if in front of Devanagam library there is a compound where it has been written a beautiful quote which has been said by our former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, C. Annadurai. புத்தகம் ஒரு மனிதனுக்கு நண்பனாக இருக்குமே தவிர எந்த ஒரு காலத்திலும் எதிரியாக இருக்காது. புத்தகம் மட்டுமே ஒருவருக்கு நண்பனாக அமைய முடியும். A book is a best companion to anybody. Why? That is what we are going to see. And why is it important to have a good communication skills? Let me tell you what is communication first. Communication is a process of information which transforms from one person to another person. When you are communicate with the others, the person who is receiving the communication should understand what you are trying to say, and we must be able to communicate in a such a way that it is reaching you at the right time, at the right way. Sometimes what we communicate with others may not reaching the expected audience because we will not be able to identify whether the person has the right language skills, whether the person has the right understanding of what we are trying to say. So especially in 21st century, if you look at the process of communication, it has taken a different form, it has taken different medium, it has taken different shape which you cannot find it or you cannot avoid it. At the same time, you can see that there is a evolvement in communication process. The communication which I'm communicating, if you look at the years or if you look at decade before, the form of communication was totally different. Right now the form of different is totally different. I'm able to communicate with all of you through internet, but what happened a couple of decades before? And before explaining what is communication and the process of communication, let me play you a video which will understand how communication has evolved into a different shape or different platform, right from the olden days to the current days. I'm so sorry for this. Just a second. Communication as a process, it has changed various shape, as I said, and the evolvement of communication has seen different. So sorry for the technical glitches. Okay, due to the paucity of time and there is a technical glitches, let me go on with this. What is communication skill? This question should be asked, or what is communication? Right from our childhood till now, in some way or other, we try to communicate with people through different ways. We call it five senses. Through five senses, we are able to communicate with others. For example, the first one, hearing. When somebody says something, you would be able to hear it and you would be able to reply because you are able to communicate through voice. Then smell. You cross a restaurant and you are able to get the aroma of the restaurant. Immediately you come to know that the restaurant would be good, and you are finding it interesting to go, or you are finding it anxiety, or you have anxiety sometimes. Why? Because the smell of the restaurant may not be good. So you go inside the restaurant, which will be decided based on the smell you get it. Then touch. Okay, the most important sense which we need to have. Through touch, you would get to know what is communication. And taste. I think being a child, from our childhood till now, we are able to identify some of the quality food based on the taste it has. And another part of communication is seeing. When you look at something, there is a communication process. There is communication. Something is explained to you by looking at it. That is what it is. Communication is a series of experience of all the five senses. You cannot avoid even a single sense. You cannot say, so I won't be able to listen, or I can't listen, I can't speak, I won't be able to smell. If you say that, then there is a lack of communication. So you may not know how it affects when there is a problem. Why? Because when you have a good communication skills, you are trying to prove yourself that you are good in your behavior. When you are a superior person, or in your authority, superior authority comes and talk to you, you should know how to communicate with the person, and the person has to tell you in a such a way that you are able to understand what you are saying that. And when you are able to understand properly, when you're able to accept what the people have said, when you're able to reply to the person properly, there is a change in behavior. Most often in library science, especially being a librarian, you would always find this goal which is not matched or fulfilled when you meet people from different area, when they can't express their communication or ideas they want to share with you. Then when you have a good communication skills, you would always understand things better away. Why? Because you should know how to understand things. Without knowing, without understanding, you cannot take it for granted. When somebody comes and asks you for some help, you should be able to react properly. That is where your communication is decided, whether you are a good communicator or not. And most important goal of communication is to get as well as give information. It works well for the people who are working as a librarian. Why? Because the primary job of a librarian to get information about the books as well as to give information about the books you have. Generally speaking, a good communicator is the one who always make the process of communication easier. Remember, when you are not able to understand something, when you are not able to achieve what somebody people are trying to say, when you are not able to understand, get the information which has been given by them, then there is a gap between you and the person who is sending it. Here, we are going to see the most important aspect, that is, we use different platforms to communicate with the people, especially 21st century. We use speaking, we use writing, we use visual image. How I am using some of the visual images to make you people to understand in better way, and body language, most important aspect which we are going to discuss in the future. And speaking is one area which we use often, like rightly pointed out by a person, like people who are aware of what is called communication. They would always look for the right words at the right time. Sometimes when I look at some of the politicians, I will used to wonder how do they able to communicate within the short words. They are laconic people. They don't use words much, but the intended message will be shared or communicated with the people whom they are believed to be reaching it. Why? Because speaking is one area where we have to focus more on it. Then writing. Without writing, there is no world. The world has changed. Look at from the perspective of marginalized people. The people who were looking for an opportunity express their sorrow, express their pain which they are undergoing in their life. And when they got pen as a medium of expression to communicate with the people who are not aware of the suffering, then have identified that, they took a weapon of pen, and that is how we have the best writings in the world. Right from the England to India, anywhere in the world has seen so many changes because of writing. I always wonder, I always look at Bharadiyar in the high profile. Why? Because through his writing, he has made the world to know the importance of so many factors like women education and getting independence and the struggles we face with the people. And visual image, the 21st century again look at visual image in a great awe. Why? Because as we are communicating through YouTube, there are plenty of videos which are available for us to know what is called information. Through visual image, anybody can reach at anyone. And you have to understand why visual image is important, because when you take 21st century skills, in 21st century, visual image plays a very important role, which we are going to discuss in the future. My dear friends, remember one thing: without having your proper body language, without having proper speaking skills, without having proper writing skills, you won't be able to communicate well. Why? Because your communication decided by whether your communication is good or not will be decided based on these four aspects. When you don't focus on these four aspects, you are not a good communicator. If you focus on these aspects, you can be a good communicator, especially in this present time. Why? Because right when we go to class, as a teacher who goes to different classes, the first and foremost thing we insist the students to speak up. Why? Because they are the one who need communication. And after corona, it has come to a conclusion. It is obvious that having 70 percentage in your subject may not help you, but having a good communication can guarantee you a good job. It is applicable for everybody. I'm not going to talk about only librarian. A librarian is always a good communicator. Without knowing how to communicate, he cannot become a librarian. So I always look at librarian in a great regards. Why? Because they know each and every aspects of human. They know how to communicate with the people. But the thing is, are we using the right medium or not, especially English language? Understand the importance of English language, especially in 21st century. There is a great demand, my dear students, my dear learners, to know the language of English. If you are aware of it, then the next process will be very easy. Why? Because look at from the perspective of a communicator who does not know how to do it. Because communication is communicated in two forms. I'm able to communicate with all of you through two forms, either verbal or non-verbal. Verbal is none other than whatever I share through words. I'm using a lot of vocabulary, I'm using a lot of words, I'm communicating with you through the words. You may listen to me and you may be able to get my words, but sometimes when I'm not looking at you and talking to you, then it won't be powerful. That is where non-verbal communication plays an important role. Is it important to have a non-verbal communication in 21st century? Yes. If you have a non-verbal communication, you have a high chance of getting the or transmitting the information to another person very easily. Why? Because a communication needs two people minimum, a sender and receiver. Without sender, a receiver won't be able to get anything. Without receiver, there is no job for the sender. Always remember, you speak in a language where everybody accepts the language of the world. You should be able to communicate in a such a way that it is reaching the maximum. The question of mass, reaching the mass is coming here. This is where you are supposed to understand how it is important to have English language or in communication skills, especially in 21st century. You may gifted with lot of knowledge about a particular subject. You may be gifted with a lot of ideas. When you are not expressing it, it becomes vain. My dear learners, learn to communicate with others. Then the process of communication goes like this, where sending and receiving information among the people has a long process. A sender is another. I'm the sender today. I'm sending information to you all. The information about what is called communication skills and how communication is important to you. Why is it important to have a good communication skills? I'm encoding in a such a way that it is reaching you properly. I'm able to get some of the ideas from the resources I follow, some of the books I read, some of the information I gathered from others. I'm collecting it and mixing it together and making it in a nutshell for you to understand what is called communication skills. This is where the process of encoding happens. The message which I wanted to convey to you is encoded in a proper way. When you are not able to understand, then there is a problem with the decoding. That is where you are decoding in a such a way that you are understanding something or you are able to get what you want to know. Always remember, when you are not able to encode properly, you won't be able to, the audience may not be able to decode. You must be aware of who's your audience. Dear professionals and learners, always remember your audience is very important when you are communicating with us. Till I complete my presentation, I should be aware of who is my audience. My audience are the one who are aware of what is called English language, and then they are aware of what is called communication process. And I should know who are going to be my audience. I called immediately Jana sir to find out who are my professionals. The moment I got an opportunity to interact or give a lecture about what is called communication skills. When I talked with Jana sir, I came to know participants will be predominantly the professionals. So this is where your understanding of communication is important. What will happen if there is no proper encoding? It is like for the whole day I speak in English to you. At the end of the day, I come to know that nobody knows the language of English. Then what is the use? Understand this. You must be able to know who's your audience. So if the audience are aware of what is the language you speak, then they would decode the language I speak. Then automatically I would get a good feedback. Okay, when I get a good feedback, I would say that my communication is successful. And remember always, most of the people who are here or who's going to listen to the presentation, when you speak in English, keep in your mind, grammar is not important. When you are speaking, the spoken English does not need grammar, but always remember, you communicate well. In order to communicate well, you are going to use what is called English efficiently as well as properly. Why? Because in the process of communication, if the message is not delivered properly, then obviously the feedback may not be right. The feedback may not be good. So, in the process of communication, you should understand how it reaches the audience. You will be surprised to know that there are a lot of barriers which stops your communication, and there are a lot of things which does not allow your communication to reach the people. There are a lot of things just put an end to the communication process. There are a lot of things which makes you to think about the information. Often it is the four most important thing which stops us or put a hindrance in our process of communication. The first one is semantic barriers, then emotional or psychological barriers, organization barriers, then physical barriers. The first barrier is none other than what is called semantic barriers. Dear learners, dear participants, always remember, whatever I speak, I would express in the right way. If I don't express it in the proper way, you may not be able to understand what I am trying to convey to you all. If the process is not done properly, that's why I told you, the process of communication, you should know how to reach the mass. You should not express badly. You should not express incorrect way. You should be aware of what you are going to speak. If I'm going to take classes for 1 hour tomorrow, I should sit at least 2 hours a day before the class. I should prepare, I should plan what I'm going to speak to you all, what I'm going to speak, what I'm going to deliver to the students. So I should always express in the proper way. It happens with a relationship. It happens with the higher authorities. It happens with the people who are visiting the library. When you are not expressing it properly, the people who is coming to your library may not reaching you or may not come again. Why? Because you have expressed the communication in the bad shape, or you have expressed the communication in a bad manner. So they may not be able to understand whether you have given the right information the right way. So make sure that you rightly expressing the information to them. And the most important thing is, most often our communication becomes failure. Why? Because it is because of unclarified assumptions. You are not clear about what you are going to say to the people. You are not aware of what you're going to give information. I remember, I think most of the people who are here are from Tamil Nadu. I would like to give you an example for this, where, okay, and if the person who is not able to understand properly, then the concept of communication is broken. If it is in person, I would have given a demo of how communication, there'll be a gap in the communication. But in online, I like to give you one information, one movie which is based on communication process. I would recommend all of you to watch this, not for the content it has, for the information it produces or the information it gives us. There is a movie called Kadakali in Tamil, okay, which has been acted by actor Vishal, which talks about what is called communication gap. In a communication, when there is a communication gap, the person who is receiving it may not understand. So that is where you are supposed to express properly. Remember, the protagonist of the story calls his friend, where the friend is working with the person who has been killed. And when he was called by his friend, he informs him, be safe. அந்த மூவில நீங்க பார்த்துருந்தீங்க அப்படின்னா தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும், ஃப்ரெண்டுக்கு ஃபோன் பண்ணி சேஃபா இருந்துக்கோ. That is, he meant his friend to be safe, but the understanding of the person was taken in a different way. it's a kind of a threatening. Okay, that is what happens in relationship also. What you are trying to convey to your best partner sometimes may not reach. I think especially people who are who are married may understand very clearly. Sometimes when you are trying to convey the message to your life partner, but the life partner may take it in a negative way. So obviously the next part will be end up in fights. Why? Because sometimes you are not expressing properly, unclarified. You are not clarifying the person what you are trying to convey. That is the reason why you should be very careful before you speak something. And the symbols, I think this is a high time to know about some of the symbols are used in WhatsApp and Telegram, because we no longer send the text messages. We are the one, I think the people who are here may aware of what is called text messages. If you look at a decade before, we were using a normal phone where there is sending a message was allowed, but now nobody sends messages through text messages. Now we are sending a lot of smileys, we are spending a lot of gif, we are sending a lot of images. So there is a high chance of misunderstanding. Why? Because what I have understood, what based on my understanding, I would take it up. So it is very important to speak in the right language, especially when you are using symbols. Make sure that it is reaching to them properly. Sometimes I may take it in a negative way, sometimes I may take it in a different way. Because of that, my relationship, my association with a person may break forever. So you should be very very careful before you explain. So I like to show you a video. I let me try showing now. Just a minute. Okay, just a minute. Let me show you a video which can make you to know or understand better how misunderstanding or miscommunication, when there is a gap in communication, can lead to different problems. I hope you all are familiar with this video, but anyhow, let me play. You would understand how miscommunication or the language which we speak may make the person to lose his temper, or sometimes it may not reach the right way. I hope it is audible to you. Uh, is it audible? If not, I'll just share the another tab. Okay, I think it is not audible. Oh, because I was able to see this. Let me share the tab so that you would be able to understand. Just a minute. Just a minute. Let me share a tab so that you would understand how communication can be a great barrier sometimes. Okay. Is it visible to you?
Mr. President, Condoleezza Rice is here to see you.
Good, send her in.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Oh, Condoleezza, good to see you. What's happening?
Well, Mr. President, I have the report here about the new leader in China.
That's great, Condi. Let's hear it.
Mr. President, who is the new leader of China?
Well, that's what I want to know.
But that's what I'm telling you, Mr. President.
Well, that's what I'm asking you, Condi. Who is the new leader of China?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name.
Who?
The guy in China.
Who?
The new leader of China.
Who?
The Chinaman.
Who is leading China, Mr. President?
What are you asking me for?
I'm telling you who is leading China.
Well, I'm asking you, Condi, who is leading China?
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Will you or will you not tell me the name of the new leader of China?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yasser Arafat is in China? I thought he was in the Middle East.
That's correct, sir.
Then who is in China?
Yes, sir.
Yasser is in China?
No, sir.
Then who is?
Yes, sir.
Yasser?
No, sir.
I need to know the name of the new leader of China, so I want you to get me the Secretary General of the United Nations on the phone.
You want coffee?
No,
You don't want coffee?
no. But now that you mention it, I could use a glass of milk. And then get me the UN,
Yes, sir.
not Yasser. The guy at the United Nations.
Coffee?
Milk. Will you please make that call?
And call who?
Well, who is the guy at the UN?
No. Who is the guy in China?
Will you stay out of China?
Yes, sir.
And stay out of the Middle East? Just get me the guy at the UN.
Coffee?
Alright. With cream and 2 sugars. Now get on the phone.
Hello. Rice here.
Rice? Good idea. And get a couple of egg rolls too, Condi. Maybe we should send some to the guy in China and the Middle East. Can you get Chinese food in the Middle East? I don't know.
I hope you were able to understand what it was. I think the name of the China's president, new president is Hu, H-U, but he was misunderstood as Who, W-H-O, which means Yar, okay? And that's the reason why he is kept asking the question, who is the new leader of China? Again, he says, who is the new leader of China? H-U. No, when you are able to communicate with others, make sure that you are giving the right information the right way. Otherwise, your communication becomes unsuccessful. The person who is receiving the information may not get it properly, and you may need to explain again and again for the same work, and it will take a lot of time. Obviously, it will lead to a lot of problems too. Then the most important aspect in the form of communication is psychological or emotional barriers. I think for this, I would like to give an example of how a particular actor's movie has been criticized again and again. And though the movie is good, sometimes we could see in our society when two extreme people's movie are getting released, or a famous actor's movie is getting released, you could always find one set of people who always make a comment, okay, that the movie is not good, and another set of people would always comment that the movie is good. Why? Because they would always connect themselves with the actor, they would always connect with the people. It is like when you don't like somebody, in an organization it happens too also. உங்களுக்கு பிடிக்காத ஒருத்தர் வந்து உங்களுக்கு மேல பொசிஷனுக்கு வந்துட்டாருன்னா அவர் என்ன சொன்னாலும் கேட்கறதுக்கு நம்ம மனசு தயங்கும். என்ன காரணம் அப்படின்னா, நான் பார்த்து எனக்கு பெரிய ஆளானவன், நான் எப்படி கேட்கறது? Which means like, why should I listen to you? Because I have seen you as my junior, you have grown as a senior, and you are giving me attention. Psychologically, you are putting in attention, inattention. No matter how good it is, அவர் எவ்வளவு நல்ல விஷயங்கள் சொன்னாலும் we won't be able to listen to them. That is what happens with the people who are emotionally connected. No, based on the emotional attachment you have, you would always say. That's the reason why it's the best way to understand when we are child. Okay, when we were child, we always listen to the mom's word. We never listen to the father's word. Why? Because father is someone who is always strict, and he won't be good enough to us. Being a girl, you would always listen to father's words. You won't listen to mother's word. Why? Because emotionally you are connected. That leads to failure in communication. You wouldn't be able to reach the people. You won't be able to connect with them. So there will be a gap in the form of communication. Then most important thing is, okay, physical barriers. I would say this is the best example today. When I started the presentation, I was finding it a little difficult to reach you through playing a video, because the first video, how evaluation of communication started. If you look at the people who are part of this organization, or if you ask the people who are part of this organization, they would say, see, we are the one who enjoyed sending letters to others. Okay, we had Thandi. Okay, they call it a telegram. Okay, and we were enjoying a lot of time by sending letters. It will take 2 hours, 2 days, sometimes 3 days for us to get a reply. And then if you ask the people who are born before that, they were the people who enjoyed the privilege of getting information through dove, or sometimes they were getting information through people, and sometimes they would say they got information through so many factors, so many factors. But the question of noise comes into this picture when I'm not able to communicate. Today, I'm able to communicate with all of you well because there is a good network. If there is no network, I won't be able to find it easy for you to communicate with all of you. That is the biggest problem which I or anybody can face. Always remember, when you're communicating with others, make sure that the surrounding, the air atmosphere in the place where you are should be convenient to the person who is listening to you. When people are facing this problem, I think most often, as a librarian, you would always face this problem. Why? Because suddenly before the examination, the students would be coming in a group, and they would trouble you again and again for getting a particular book, and you won't be able to reach them properly. Why? Because one at a time everybody will ask, so you won't be able to get the clarity of what they are trying to ask. So this is where the physical barrier comes into the picture. You should make the people to break this barrier by making them to tell in one by one, or you can guide them, or you can break the barrier by making them to follow some rules and regulation to make your communication process better and effective. Otherwise, your communication will not reach the people who are intended. And the next process, why should we need to have a good communication skills? Or what are the tips we are supposed to have a good communication skills? My dear learners, make sure that you have a good eye contact, because in our body language, in our body, your eyes is giving most of the information to the learners. There is a beautiful saying in Tamil, "Mugatin agatin alagu mugatil theriyum," which means whatever I feel, the index of your mind will be revealed through your face. Whatever I think, I can express through my eye contact. Whatever I feel, I can express through my eye contact. Be it a happiness, be it a sadness, or be it being angry, any emotions can be expressed through eye contact. When you have a good eye contact, it will reach the people properly. Then body language. Why am I going to talk about body language? I'm not going to talk about body language here much, but remember, 70% of our communication is communicated through our body language. When you are talking to people, your slow or a simple gesture, simple body movement can express lot of things. I remember a day when Hillary Clinton came to India, and stood, or sat in front of Sonia Gandhi, by then, okay, not now, by then, with her folded leg, and everybody was surprised. Okay, and when Obama came to India, I remember when our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he was holding his hand in a posture that he listens to him properly. So that is why your gestures and body language should be proper, and try to express in the proper way. When your expression is not good, when I'm feeling happy, I should express happiness. நான் அழும்போது அழுகிற மாதிரி இருக்கணும், சிரிக்கும் போது சிரிக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கணும். If something goes in opposite, you won't be able to convey one thought. Whatever I feel about this idea, whatever I feel about the language skills, if I want to express the language I know, for example English language, if I want to express to the people, make sure that you reach by you re-express it in the proper way by using eye contact and gestures and body language. Most important thing, practice. Without practice, you won't be able to get good communication skills. Dear learners, dear participants, make sure that you practice, practice, practice. Practice makes not a man human perfect. I can't say only man, because practice makes only a human perfect. If you keep practicing it, and always remember, it won't come in a single day. If you want to be a good communicator, you need a lot of time. Rome is not built in a single day. If you want a good communication, you need to speak, speak, and speak. That is the only 3-word mantra you have to keep in your mind. And most important aspect of communication is nonverbal communication. As I said, the right time for you to know what is nonverbal communication. Some of the expressions, navarasa, you are all aware of what is called navarasa. Navarasa express our inner feelings. Whether I'm feeling sad, whether I'm feeling happy, whether I'm feeling good, it can be expressed through my body language. As I said, some of the smiles I'm using it in WhatsApp can express the mood of my mind, can express the mentality of mind, can express the ability of understanding something. So be confident, and most important thing is, before sending something, please cross check, because your communication can reach the wrong way. And through body language anybody can communicate. And if you think that language does not need communication, then you cannot get it. Without body language you won't be able to get it. So make sure that you use the right way. And the next question of body language comes into the picture when you are not using these medium properly. Dear learners, dear participants, I know that it is the high time for you to know what is the need to have a good communication. There is a great demand. There is a dire need for you to have a good communication, especially in 21st century. After this pandemic, people have started to communicate their ideas through various platforms. Some of the platforms I have given in this slide are known to us already. You are communicating with your friend through WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, and Gmail. You are using Facebook, but the question of, okay, expressing it in the proper manner comes into the picture. That is, am I making my communication effective? Am I making, நான் பேச சொல்ல நினைப்பதை கரெக்டா ரீச் பண்றேனா, நான் சொல்றத கரெக்டா புரிய வைக்கிறேனா, whatever I feel, whatever I think, I should express in the proper way. Why? Because the world is growing in such a way that everybody started to use what is called technology, and you should know how to use it. That's the reason why you should apply KISS. Don't get offended. What is called KISS? Keep it simple and short. Dear participants, dear learners, make sure that you make your presentation, keep it short and simple. And you can easily find out from Twitter, within 140 characters a person is able to convey the message. And there is one more aspect I wanted to tell you why communication is important in 21st century. We no longer read pages and a single image, and you can always find it interesting to see a lot of memes which are expressing it. I would say meme creators are the best communicators in the world. Why? Because it takes 1 hour for a teacher to explain a particular concept, whereas a meme creator is able to make the learners or make the viewers to understand the issue within a second. It takes hours and hours for a person to know what is called global warming. It takes just 2 seconds for a person to inform what is called global warming through the meme he creates. It takes days and days to know the importance of, okay, wearing mask. I think you are all aware of it, how the society was facing this issue called like corona. During this corona, almost everybody was finding it difficult to wear a mask. But the importance of wearing mask and inevitability of wearing mask was explained within 2 images, collating 2 images. ரெண்டு image ஒன்னாக்குறாங்க, அது மூலமா convey பண்றாங்க. And when I go through this image, I'm able to understand what does it mean. And that is the reason why it is vital, it is important, and it is essential to know and understand the language of English, as well as to know the importance of communicating effectively. Dear participants and our dear learners, and as a dear friends, as a teacher of English, I would always suggest you to learn English first. Why? Because English is a language of communication all over the world. It is a link language. I'm able to communicate with you all. I'm able to convey the message to you all in English. But there is one most important aspect you should know, rightly pointed out by Nityanandam sir. If it is very difficult to find a person who's speaking their mother tongue, without knowing mother tongue, you cannot speak in English. It is my own observation, my dear learners, my dear participants. Why? Because without knowing your mother tongue, don't try to learn any language. If you are not aware of what is said, then you cannot get it. Always remember, you should be in a position to know what is importance of English language, and you should know how to do it. That is what we are looking for. And remember, if you are able to communicate well, you can easily recognized, and you can be easily recognized, you can be given importance for the work you do, and people will recognize you, people will give recognition. And why? Because the 21st century needs a good communicator than a knowledgeable person. And when you are communicating with others, ensure you are using the right way. There are different ways to impress the people. One of the important way to impress people and get attention of others is to have a good communication. And ensure you are reaching them. Ensure you are getting the information of what they want. But never ever think that without having a good communication you can be successful. Because I would like to say only one thing before I conclude. Be it a student, be it librarian, be it a learner, for anybody, communication is the basic tool to become successful. Communication is a stepway, it is a gateway. Without communication, you cannot reach the people. Without communication, you cannot do anything. And you can easily understand how difficult it is for a person to reach the maximum without having communication. I don't need to tell you, these are the things are essential. I think being in Tamil Nadu, which is the state which is known for having good communication, right from many politicians to the common man, they always focus on communication. Their focus is primarily on the content which they communicate. And if you are going to be successful, if you want to be successful, most important thing you are supposed to remember is communication. Communication is the essential one, and you cannot avoid it. Okay, you are supposed to learn it. It is high time for you to learn what is it. And let me show you a video of an auto wala from Tamil Nadu who has made his work or job easy. Through this, he made his job, through this, he made the people understand what is called communication, or how having a good communication, how making the people to understand what is your communication. And he got a lot of people. Let me play this video, let me share the screen for you to know what is it. You will come to know how creative he is. Along with that, he becomes successful communicator. Let me play this. I hope my screen is visible to you. Is it visible?
I'm the faculty director for the Center for Analytics and Transformation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ஒரு ஜாப்க்கு தான் போயிட்டு இருந்தேன் முதல்ல. திடீர்னு ஒரு நாள் எங்கள் அண்ணன் லீவ் போட்டார். அப்போ நான் எடுத்து ரன் பண்ண ஆரம்பித்தேன். இன்கம் வர மாதிரி தெரிஞ்சது. ஸோ இந்த காசுக்காக நம்ம இன்னொருத்தவங்ககிட்ட போயிட்டு ரொம்ப நேரம் ஒரு 8 hours அவங்க கூட ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரியான இருக்கு. ஸோ செல்ஃப் எம்ப்ளாயாக இருக்கிறது நிறைய சாட்டிஸ்ஃபேக்ஷனான விஷயங்களை நான் ரியலைஸ் பண்ணேன்.
கஸ்டமர்ஸ் தான் கடவுள் அப்படின்ற ஒரு காரணத்தினால அவங்க ஒரு 10 minutes 20 minutes 30 minutes தான் என்னோட ஆட்டோவில் ட்ராவல் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஸோ இந்த ட்ராவல் டைமிங்கில் அவங்களுக்கு என்ன மாதிரியான விஷயங்கள் கொடுக்கலாம் வித்தியாசமாக அப்படின்னு தேடினேன். ஒரு 8 நியூஸ் பேப்பர், 35 மேகசின்ஸ், டேப்லெட், ஐபேட், லேப்டாப், டிவி, கான்டெஸ்ட், டோக்கன், இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய விஷயங்கள் வண்டிக்குள்ள இருக்கு. கஸ்டமர்ஸ் எல்லாருக்குமே செயின் ப்ராப்ளம் இருந்துச்சு. ஸோ அதனால் ஸ்வைப்பிங் மிஷின் கொண்டு வரலாம் அப்படின்னு நினச்சேன். ஸோ இதன் மூலிமா என்னோட ஒரு மணி கூட, சின்ன மணி கூட கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு போகுது அப்படின்றதுல வந்து நான் ரொம்ப ப்ரௌடாக ஃபீல் பண்ணுறேன். மந்த்லி ஒரு 9,000 ருபீஸ் என்னோட கஸ்டமர்ஸ்க்காக ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணிட்டுருக்கேன். ஸோ என்னோட இன்கம் இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகணும் அப்படின்றதுக்காக நான் இதெல்லாம் பண்ணேன். அவங்கள சாட்டிஸ்ஃபேக்ஷன் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்ற ஒரு காரணத்தினால தான் பண்ணேன். இதன் மூலிமா என்னோட இன்கம் டபுள் ஆகிருக்கு. முன்னாடிலாம் கஸ்டமர்ஸ்க்காக நான் வெயிட் பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பேன், இப்போ கஸ்டமர்ஸ் எனக்காக வெயிட் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சேன். டெக்னாலஜி எவ்வளோதான் வளர்ந்தாலும் ஹியூமன் எலிமெண்ட்டை வந்து யாராலையும் ஜெயிக்க முடியாது. அதனால தான் என்னோட கஸ்டமர்ஸ் கிட்ட நான் ரொம்ப ஃப்ரெண்ட்லியாக இருக்கேன். ஸோ அவங்க எவ்வளோ டென்ஷனோட என் ஆட்டோக்குள்ளே ஏறி வந்தால் கூட இறங்கும் போது ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக போகணும் அப்படின்றது தான் என்னோட எதிர்பார்ப்பாக இருக்கும். நான் டெடில் பேசுவேன்னு நல்லா கனவுல கூட நினச்சது கிடையாது.
Hi. I speak Hindi or English? I speak Hindi. I will try. Okay. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. DK okay भैया brother धन्यवाद thank you Hindi over. Okay.
ஏதாவது பொது கஸ்டமர் இருந்தாங்கன்னா தெலுங்கு சாங் ப்ளே பண்ணுவேன். தன்யவாதாలు மல்லி. ஸோ இது எதனால பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, நான் ஏதாவது ஆந்திரா, கேரளா, கர்நாடகா, டெல்லி, மும்பை, கல்கத்தா எங்கேயாவது போகும்போது அங்கே ஏதாவது ஒரு சின்ன டீ ஷாப்ல தமிழ் சாங் ஒன்று என்னோட ஃபீல் எப்படி இருக்கும். ஸோ அந்த ஒரு ஃபீல் அந்த செகண்ட் அவங்களுக்கு கிரியேட் ஆகணும் அப்படின்ற ஒரு காரணத்தினால.
ஸோ டெல்லியில் பேசுறது அப்படின்றது வந்து டெல்லியில் பேசினேன். அதுக்கப்புறம் இங்கே சத்தியமங்கலம் இந்த மாதிரி 2 டெட் டாக்ஸ் கொடுத்துருக்கேன். அதுக்கப்புறம் ஒரு சில கார்பரேட் கம்பெனிஸில் போய் ட்ரைனிங்கும் கொடுத்துருக்கேன். ஸோ இதெல்லாம் என்னோட கஸ்டமர்ஸை திருப்திப்படுத்த வைக்கணும் அப்படின்ற ஒரே ஒரு ஃபோக்கஸ் தானே தவிர இதெல்லாம் வந்து எதிர்பார்க்காத ஒரு விஷயங்கள். ஐ லவ் மை ஜாப். கஸ்டமர்ஸ் வந்து கடவுளுக்கு நிகரானவங்க. அவங்கள எப்படியெல்லாம் திருப்திகரமாக வச்சுக்கணுன்ற ஒரே ஒரு விஷயத்தை மட்டும்தான் நான் ஃபோக்கஸ் பண்ணேன். இப்போ நான் ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக இருக்கேன். இன்னும் நிறைய விஷயங்கள் பண்ணணும்னு ஆசைப்பட்றேன்.
Okay. When I watched it for the first time, I realized the importance of having good communication. The communication does not go with only language. It goes with different aspect of getting the people, their attention. Remember, when you are communicating with others, especially 21st century, you should know what is the expectation of the audience, their interest, their wishes, their ideas, because audience are the one who are the receiver, the one who need lot of information. Especially in 21st century, you should know how to reach the maximum audience. Otherwise, we may not be able to get what it wants. And I lightly pointed out, you should know how to communicate with others and ensure you focus on the audience. Along with your audience, focus on the language you speak. Okay, with this, I like to thank the members of the Madras Library Association and others for patiently listening to my presentation. And now I'm expecting a lot of questions from the audience, and I would be very grateful and glad to answer all your questions. And thank you so much once again for giving this opportunity to the members of the Library Association, as well as VVMU Pandian Memorial Bhagat Sangha Madurai. And I would request all the people to go through different materials, information available in the library, because as a person who makes the students to visit library often, library is the best platform to update your communication. There are different books, there are different writings which can make you to know what is called communication, and you will know the importance of it. And thank you so much again. And I would be very glad again for getting questions from the participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. That was an excellent presentation with a number of inspirational videos, colorful and sensational slides. Thank you, sir. A
Thank you, ma'am.
clear account of communication skills like reading, writing, speaking, listening were all dealt in a detailed manner. Thank you, sir. And we have a great number of takeaways from this webinar. And I would like now request the participants, attendees
Ma'am,
to ask any
ma'am,
question.
question, ma'am.
Yes, you have any questions? Participants can
Yes,
please
yes, ma'am.
type in your
Parents, how
chat
can
box.
help? Sir, one question from the participant. Parents, how
Yes, sir.
can help to children communication?
How
Is
can
it
parents
for the
help in
parent?
communication skills of this
Okay.
children?
My personal opinion for the parents, especially in 21st century. Why? Because we are in a delicate position where the students or the children are engrossed with gadgets. You talk to them first. You talk to them and make them to understand the importance of having good communication, especially especially having good English language skill. Why? Because when I was having a conversation with a HR professional in Amazon company, he said we no longer need a person who has a very good knowledge. They are expecting you to have a good knowledge, not excellent knowledge about the subject, but they are expecting you to have a good communication skills. Communication skill does not go with the language of English alone. Always keep in your mind. Don't force your children to speak only in English. Let them open their mouth, let them speak up, let them communicate in the language whatever they are comfortable. Give a way for them to speak first, then give instruction for the children to speak in English. Because the first and foremost thing a parent should do is making the people to get away from the problem of stage fear. This is one aspect as a teacher I find it from various classes. Even today, I had a PG class today, and when I went inside the classroom, I told them only one thing: you are going to stand in front of 50 people and convey the message you are going to do as a presentation. The foremost thing you should be aware of is standing in front of people. If you are able to stand in front of people, getting the language won't be a big issue. I would request the parents to not to force them to speak only in English. I'll appreciate them to open up their mouth and tell them to speak in English. And there are, instead of making the children to come out of the mobile phone, encourage the children to use mobile phone properly. There are plenty of websites. Okay, there are plenty of YouTube channels. There are plenty of online resources which are available at free of cost, where you can make the children to focus on that. But let me tell you, a most difficult thing to do it. It would be very difficult for your children to sit and listen something which is not interesting initially. But definitely, I can guarantee you, immediately you cannot get the expected result. But definitely, they will get an immediate expected result if they focused on the work they do it. So first and foremost thing as a parent you should do is make them to talk. Allow them to talk in the language whatever they are comfortable. Then insist on the importance of English language. Try to communicate with the children in English if possible. Otherwise, make them to listen a lot. When they are able to listen a lot, automatically they would be able to get confidence. When they are confident enough, automatically they will speak up. Then when they are able to speak up, their communication will be good. When their communication is good, automatically they'll get what they want.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, ma'am.
That was a brilliant answer. Any more
Any other question,
questions?
ma'am?
Jana, sir?
How to tackle the fear, fear while communicating with others?
Sir, Jana sir, I'm not able to hear you. Can you repeat the question?
How to tackle the fear while communication?
Okay. I when I was explaining you, or when I was talking about communication process, two different process of communication. I said non-verbal communication is essential. Let me tell you an interesting story which I practiced on my own. I would suggest you to follow the same. Dear participant, it is not like book. I didn't take from any book. I just followed it on my own. You would also try this. Your body language, when you're able to use your body language properly, you would be able to tackle any communication problem. Why? Because I have come across this question often in my with my students. Sir, I'm able to get the word till here, that is still my neck, and the words are not coming out, which means I'm not able to get the words. So I tell them, use your hands, stretch your hands a lot, which means நல்லா கையை உயர்த்தி நல்லா கையை ஆட்டி பேசுங்க. They would be able to get it. Why? Because your body language is the only way which can make you to tackle your communication problem. Why? Because we know how to speak in English. A person can communicate well if he or she is aware of 1,000 words in English. See, being a teacher of English, I can talk about only English here. So if you are aware of 1,000 words in English, you know you will be able to communicate well. So do we are we aware of 1,000 words? This question arises to us. Yes, we are all aware of 1,000 words, but the thing is, are we using it again and again? That's a problem which we have. We don't use it often, we don't use it properly, we don't use it continuously. So in order to tackle the problem of communication, the first thing is use it repeatedly. Again, in order to remember any words, in order to remember anything, you are supposed to use it at least 4 times in a time, in a day-to-day life. Today I'm able to read when I'm able to read a new word called private. So I should use this word private in my day-to-day life sentences at least 4 times, so that I would be able to get it. For most of us, the problem is lack of vocabulary, a lack of words, okay, which makes us to have a barrier. So I would recommend you guys to have a good body language. When you have a good body language along with good practice, and when you are keep practicing it again and again, you will be able to get it easily. So the best way to tackle problem is use your body language effectively. When you are using your body language effectively, the words will come to you naturally, so you won't face any communication problems. And the most important aspect which you are supposed to be keep in your mind, never think about others, what they think about you. You should not have a low self-esteem. You should always have a high self-esteem, which will make you to understand, which will make you to tackle any communication problem. Always have a high self-esteem for you to better in your life. And thank you so much for the question, it was really nice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, any more questions, sir?
No, no, ma'am.
Okay, we can proceed to the next agenda of this program. I now request our Madras Library Association Vice President, Dr. S.G. Rajsekaran, sir, to propose a vote of thanks. Please, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Thank you for your inspiring session, sir. Dr. Minar, I think Mr. Minar. Okay, maybe change it shortly. I said, Doctor, my advance wishes to you, sir. I hope all the president found it very interesting in this session. And today we have got a lot of information from you, sir. We are sharing your, I think you impart your knowledge to share your knowledge with us, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And I also thank you, our president, legend, Dr. Nityanandam, sir, and the organization committee and the executive members, sir. And also I thank Dr. Muthamani from Madurai for your welcome speech, sir. And I'll also thank J. Prasanna, young scientist mentioned by Dr. Nityanandam, our Mala president. I thank you very much, my dear friend Prasanna. Last and least, This session is very useful not only for the president and also for the library professionals, sir. Thank you very much. Once again, and thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, Nityanand sir,
Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
you want to talk anything?
Sir Nityanandan sir, we would like to hear from you. President sir. So would you like to share your views, sir? President sir?
If he wants to talk, that's why
I thank all the attendees, participants for your patience and kind for retaining in this program till the end. Thank you all. President sir, would you like to say anything, sir?
no, you will conclude, ma'am. He is not able to
Okay,
connect.
sir.
I think.
Thank you all. Thank you for attending the wonderful event by Madras Library Association. The importance of communication skills in the 21st century. And the guest speaker was Mr. V. Minor. Minor has given a very detailed account of each and every aspect of communication skill. I really appreciate your efforts, sir, and the pains you have taken to enlighten us with your sensational slides, colorful slides, and all the inspirational videos you have presented us. Thank you, sir. And I thank the whole organizing committee, each and every office bearers of the Madras Library Association for conducting this webinar and giving me the opportunity to compile this event. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Voice is not audible there. Whether my voice is audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You are. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is audible, sir.
You know, really, it is fantastic. It is the need of the hour. You have explained everything, every aspect you have covered. See, common ways of communication you have explained, speaking, communication, writing, visual language, body language, etc. And you also explained about types of communication, so verbal communication and non-verbal communication. And you also added in your lecture process of communication. See, communication is the process of sending and receiving information among the people. That is more important. Yeah, we have to send and receive information from the people. Yeah, and the semantic barriers. There are many barriers you explained. Interesting. Emotional, psychological, organizational behavior, physical barriers, etc. And you once said, well said.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the comment, sir. Getting from such a
So thank you very much, sir.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.